go.
Okay, Sam Lodge, stroke 8, nose 5, low, break right.
Hey guys, in today's video we're doing a 2 versus 1 scenario where I will face off against 2 bandits and try to survive. We're basically going to talk about what to do in situations where you find yourself outnumbered and outgunned and how to survive. For this video, I'm flying with the new and very impressive Wing Joystick and Throttle. I'm still in the process of trying it out and seeing how I like it before an official review. I will admit that I'm very impressed so far. I find the stick to be ergonomic and well put together. It all feels very sturdy, and when it comes to DCS performance, I find the stick to be perfectly responsive, and I have lots of buttons and axes to bind for anything I may need in DCS. As previously stated, I will be doing a full review on this bad boy once I have some time to play around with it and really get a feel for what I think of it. And as always guys, if you enjoy the channel and are looking for a way to support it but want to get something nice for yourself in the process, consider checking out Wild Weasel on their new and revamped website, now offering free shipping on any and all purchases above $75. Check out those new HUD shirts, maybe a mouse pad, and lots of other stuff in there like some sweet Tomcat shirts. And remember that my supporters and viewers are entitled to 10% off their order with the code GROWLING10 at checkout. A big thank you to Wild Weasel for their support on the channel, and also a big thank you to all of you for your support. None of this would be possible without you, and I'm extremely grateful to have a community like we have here supporting me and the channel. Alright guys, let's dive into this video. Let's do it. 2 versus 1. F-15 against F-15. Now, one of the reasons that we're doing F-15 against F-15 is that the two of us can carry the AIM-120Cs, and the AMRAAMs with the Charlie variant are some of the best missiles in DCS by far. They're extremely difficult to notch, and at closer ranges you may as well just don't bother even trying to notch them. You have to be extremely precise, and so it's better to go for energy bleeding. Now, because they're one of the best missiles and they're put on the F-15, which is one of the best air-to-air fighters in the game, what we're going to do is try to make this a little bit of a challenge. So we got a 2 versus 1 scenario. As I said, they're flying F-15s as well, and so what we're going to try to do, the best way to beat an F-15 is to ruin their situational awareness, because they don't have any kind of SA page or data link or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is attempt to get close enough to scare the crap out of them, and then see if I can kill them when they're in disarray. And just due to the fact that it's a 2 versus 1 fight, it means that I have to be extremely aggressive. I have to constantly get in there and harass them and give them trouble, make them defend missiles, anything and everything I can do to make sure that they don't have an opportunity to commit onto me and fire missiles at me. Okay, this is the objective here. If I can do that, we'll be successful. Alright, if not, then well, we'll have some mistakes to talk about in the Tacview, I guess. So here you can see that we're climbing. We're trying to increase our altitude. As we increase the altitude, we're increasing the range and probability of kill of our missiles. However, that becomes very dangerous up top for us, because as soon as we fire our missiles, we got to get out of the thin air, because that also helps their missiles hit us easier. Okay, so that's one of the things we got to think about. We got to get up there, fire our missiles, and then get the hell out of there. Alright, here we go. We're getting up there. Okay, that's Fox 3. We're inverted and we're diving now. As I said, we're getting out of the thin air. However, notice how I'm staying nose hot. They have definitely fired at me at this point with TWS, track while scan, and so I'm expecting those missiles to be coming in. So I'm not hanging out up there. I'm diving, but I'm still nose hot. I'm staying aggressive here, and I'm pushing in within the effective range at 30,000 feet. That's my next engagement point. And once I get there, I'm going to push inside of 20 nautical miles, and I'm going to fire again 2 more Fox 3s to make sure they are completely defensive. Here come their missiles defending. We're going to Fox 3 and get out of here. Dive again. I only managed to get 1 missile off that time because I lost track on the other one, but that's fine. And here we are, still committed on target. See if we can pick one of these guys up. Just gonna defend a little bit. We're still totally aggressive here, still pushing them as hard as we can. Now, I'm pretty sure that I hit the wingman at this point, so that's good. Now, notice how we're constantly changing our altitude here. Let's go dive a little bit here. And the reason that we're doing that is, one, it's helping me defend the incoming missiles by dragging them into thicker air, but also I'm constantly forcing them to find me again if they recommit. I'm not just staying at the same altitude so they can just pick me up real quick. I'm forcing them to play with their radar elevation controls. I'm giving them things to do, mistakes to make, asking questions, hoping that I can get close enough and get a kill while they're trying to solve those problems, right? That's the whole thing. You're ruining situational awareness, giving them things to do other than kill you. Okay, that's 1 for the wingman, who's probably already dead. There's another Fox 3, and I hope those hit him because I'm all out. I only got Fox 2s left at this point. Alright guys, here we go with round 2. Now we're going to repeat kind of the same process this time. It works pretty well, so we're going to continue to use it. I'm sure that they will try to defend a little bit differently, so we'll see how that works out. So you can see how staying very aggressive on them has a very big effect. Like if at any point you turn cold on your target and he manages to recommit faster than you, and there's 2 of them, you're screwed, man. If you're in a multiplayer situation, just go home, because one of them will get you, right? The only way to beat these 2 guys is to constantly remain aggressive, constantly put them on the defensive, and so you can dust them off one by one, hopefully. And you know, if you don't turn cold and they do, you're gonna have a very easy time getting up on the 6 o'clock on one of these guys that's cold, and he won't be able to turn around. At the very least, he'll have to run and just go home. And so just like last time, we're pushing into higher altitude here just to increase the probability of kill of the missiles. The AMRAAMs are very, very dangerous when it comes to 40, even if you can get up to 50,000 feet. You can fire them outside of 30 nautical miles. They'll be extremely dangerous missiles. And if they're tracking me right now, they can see my altitude. They know I'm going high. They know any missiles coming at them are very dangerous missiles. Especially the fact that they are also at a high altitude. It's not like they're on the deck or something like that. Alright, so here we're getting into that zone that I want to be in so we can fire. And again, just like last time, we're going to fire and defend. We're not going to stay up here because they will also fire missiles. I will not receive the missile notification until their missiles go pitbull. And at this altitude, at that point, it's way too late. Those missiles will hit me. So I need to preemptively defend. I need to assume that there are incoming missiles. Okay, and in about a few seconds, we're gonna Fox 3 and get the hell out of here. They definitely have me TWS locked too. Alright, so here we are defending. One of those AMRAAMs actually seemed to like loft itself. I wish they both did that. Okay, so we're going to defend now. We're going to dive. Notice how I'm still staying pretty much nose hot on them again, just like last time. I'm referencing a heading that I was pointing when I had the bandits, so that when I'm twisting and turning and defending, I can just continue to reference that heading again to find them. Alright, it helps my situational awareness. I got missiles incoming right now. We're defending. Defending. Just crank, crank, and defend. Dive, crank, defend. Okay, and we have splashed one of the bandits here. I believe it was the wingman, if I'm not mistaken. So that's it. It's now a 1 versus 1 situation. They didn't defend aggressively enough that incoming missile. So you can see right there, we just, that's the wingman falling out of the sky. I think it's the wingman. So here we go, we're on another one. We're giving him a Fox 3. We got to continue to keep him defensive. That missile probably won't hit him at that altitude, but it's just to keep him doing something other than looking at me and trying to shoot me. And so what I'm doing here, he's actually pointed towards me right now. That missile, you can see it's there he goes. He's now cold on me. That circle on my HUD with the line at the top that keeps moving in the clockwise direction and counterclockwise direction, that's telling me the vector of the bandit. So right now he's pointed away from me, he's cold, and he's running for his life. And you can see him actually visually right in front of me here. He's cold and I'm on his tail. So this is what I was talking about. He defended the incoming missiles. I pushed him and he was unable to recommit in time. Now I'm on his 6 and there's not a whole lot he can do about it. At this point, he either turns to fight me and dies, or he runs away and goes home. It looks like he's chosen to turn and fight, and he will pay for that with his life. I'm in the blue, and Thor and Feisty are the 2 red aggressor F-15s off in the distance here. Now, as we noticed, this is a 2 versus 1 situation. Now, when you're doing a 2 versus 1 situation, if you don't have TWS like the F-18 or something, just don't do it. You're probably going to get yourself killed. The reason that we picked the F-15 is because the F-15 has TWS capability. So you're going to need that if you're going to be doing this. Alright? So you can see that the 2 guys, they've already dropped their fuel tanks. You want to do that so you can become more maneuverable. You can become faster because you don't have the drag indexes of the fuel tanks. And one of the things I'm going to do is climb as high as I can go before the engagement kicks off. And so I'm up here at about 50,000 feet. Okay, and 50,000 feet means that your missiles are going to be, you know, they're going to get a decent range on them because you're so high that the thickness of the air is not really there. It's at lower altitudes. You got a lot thinner air up at about 50,000 feet. So you can launch your AMRAAMs from much further out, and I've launched them at about 30 nautical miles, 32 nautical miles. And so this is one of the reasons you want to do this, that I did this. You know, you're free to not do it, but I did it because I wanted to send these 2 guys defensive fairly quickly, because when it's a 2 versus 1 situation, I have to be on the offensive constantly. If I even go defensive for a few seconds, it could totally flip the fight for me. So I fire off, I get as high as I can go to give the missiles as much range as possible to increase their probability of kill, make them very dangerous missiles. Okay. My other objective here is to thin this herd out as quickly as possible. I want to get these guys down to, you know, 1 versus 1 at least, right? So I got these missiles coming in, and they get the pit bull, because TWS missiles, missiles launched in TWS do not give an indication until they're pit bull. So they didn't know that it was launched right up until about here. Feisty is preemptively defending. Okay, so he's already fired off his missile, and he's getting the hell out of here. He's at about 42,000 feet, and Thor has not defended yet. He's continuing to push. Feisty is defending prior to getting the pitbull warning because he's assuming that there's a missile coming, it's a pretty safe assumption, and it's kind of an assumption that you have to make if you're going to fight an F-15 or any aircraft that has TWS capability. All right. Notice how as soon as I fired my missiles, I decreased my altitude. Right. I've already brought I'm down to about 42,000 feet here. And the reason you do that is because there's no reason for you to stay up here. Right. As I just said, Feisty made an assumption that there was a missile coming at him. I made the same assumption. I only came up here to fire the missiles. As soon as I fired the missiles, I'm defending. I'm coming back down into thicker and thicker air so that I'm decreasing the probability of kill of his missile. All right. There's no reason for me to stay up at 50,000 feet. It's just a nice way to get myself killed. So the missile I fired on Feisty is coming at about Mach 2.5. Looks like Thor has pressed in a little bit deeper, and he has fired off his AIM-120, and he's done that at about 19 nautical miles. And considering that I'm now at 37,000 feet and he's at 41, this is a very dangerous missile, extremely dangerous. Okay, you can see Feisty's missile coming in here, and so I immediately defend. I fire off another one. Get rid of these labels for a second. Feisty's missile comes very close. Very close. And this is why you don't want to stay up high as long as possible. When you're up there, when you're above 40,000 feet, the margins of error are very, very small. Okay, so we can see Feisty's missile missed by just a little bit. And right now I'm at a complete nose down attitude. I've completely dumped the nose and I'm just diving because this missile just got scrapped, and I'm pretty sure I saw this one actually go by in the cockpit, if I remember correctly. So I knew that it was close, and I made an assumption that there were more missiles coming, which was correct. There's another one coming here, Mach 3.1. Feisty's missile had more than enough energy, by the way. It was probably like Mach 1.9, Mach 2, so it definitely had enough energy to hit me. Got lucky with that one. You can see Feisty has defended my missile by going cold, which is absolutely the correct thing to do. This is called a minimum abort range, a certain range that you don't push into because you will get yourself killed, and he has respected that. I apologize if you can hear the wind in the background. It's a very stormy day here. He has respected the minimum abort range, and so he's disengaged and he's going cold to defend the incoming missile. Thor pressed in a little bit deeper, and he has also gone cold, and that missile has missed him as well. Now I put out another one because my objective here is to constantly press these guys and constantly keep them defensive. If either one of them ever stops being defensive, he essentially gets a free entry and he gets to come and kill me while I concentrate on his buddy. Okay, so there goes another missile, and I'm back on the commitment. Notice how I don't have the luxury of going cold. Okay, if I go cold, one of them recommits faster than I can, I'm dead. I'm not gonna have time to turn around. All right, so even though I am reducing my altitude, I'm still keeping my gimbal limits on them, and I'm remembering the general bearing that they're at, just so I can constantly point my nose there. I'm using my radar elevation scan, and I'm making assumptions on that as well. And the assumptions I'm making with the radar elevation scan is that as the fight kicked off, they were reducing their altitude. Okay, because they were defending my incoming missiles. So I'm pushing my radar elevation down just a little bit every time, making assumptions that they're a little bit lower. Okay, and so once again, I've got one volley off. Here's a second one, and I'm defending again. Okay, I'm going to reduce my altitude. Notice how both bandits are completely defensive at this point. Thor is cold. Feisty is attempting to recommit. And it's a matter of if he can find me, because I've dramatically reduced my altitude at this point. I'm sitting at about 12,000 feet. And there's one more off at Thor within 6 nautical miles. And Thor's at about 18,000 feet, so he's gonna probably eat this one. I believe that's how it went down. And Feisty's got one off at him. I picked him up with a vertical scan. Vertical scan is a very nice way to do it when you're within range. So because I knew how close I was to Thor, I fired at him and then went into vertical. And you can get really lucky with vertical. It just randomly snaps onto the guy. So there it is, 2 kills. Right, so this is round 1. All right, so let's go ahead and check out round 2. So here we are, round 2. Same color scheme. I'm blue, they're red. Just gonna fast forward a little bit so you can see once again I'm climbing. This is always a great tactic to climb in a BVR fight. The thinner air that you're in, the higher the probability of kill for your missiles. All right, so I'm gonna climb, climb, climb. And it looks like, let's see what they're doing. I'm the first one to get my missiles off. I'm at 50,000 feet. Once again, there's my 2 missiles at a range of 25 nautical miles. So these are very dangerous at 50,000 feet, and they are at 41,000 feet. Okay, so these are 2 very dangerous missiles right now. Notice how immediately, again, once I fire the missiles, I defend. I'm pulling myself down into thinner air. And you don't want to wait around, because when those missiles start to come in pitbull, you're not going to have enough time, and you don't have the maneuverability at this altitude, because your wings can't really grab onto too much air for you to do, you know, high and quick maneuvers, high G maneuvers or anything like that. And that's because, while the air is much thinner up here, there's less for your engines and your wings to grab onto. So I got my 2 missiles coming in. They fire theirs. At this point, these missiles are very much pitbull. So they're getting the warnings. They fired off their missiles because they don't want to defend without throwing something at me as well. All right. They need to force me defensive as well. If they don't do that, I just press in and kill them. So they've done that. I'm defending those missiles. And I know how close I was, so I know how aggressively I have to defend these missiles. Notice how I'm defending them very aggressively. I'm completely diving. I'm not even bothering to point my nose back up at them. Let's look at this. Feisty has gone defensive, and he is cold. Okay, so he has reduced his altitude, and he is going cold. Again, this is the best way to defend the missile. Okay. Thor is doing a hook turn. Alright, he has not really reduced his altitude, and he is going cold, which is a good thing, but he hasn't reduced his altitude. And you can see this AMRAAM coming in at Mach 2. And because he didn't reduce his altitude, that missile doesn't have to fight through a lot of thick air to hit him. And it's going to hit him at Mach 1.6. And Thor's out. Okay. Let's come back to me. Let's rewind just a little bit. You can see both of these missiles fell short. Did not hit me. And notice how, again, I do not have the luxury of going cold. Okay, when I'm fighting 2 guys, I don't have the luxury. Because if I turn my nose away, one of them might recommit. Alright? So, because I'm constantly trying to stay on the offensive and just do constant pressure on them, I have to keep my nose hot. Alright? Nose hot means pointing at them. Nose cold means pointing away. Okay, so here I am. I've confirmed the 1 bandit going down. So I try to recommit onto the next one. There's the missile off at him. Again, and I fired this one because I knew if this one hadn't hit him already, it wasn't going to hit him. Alright, so I give him a second one as I notice he's trying to come around. Right as he's coming back around to try to recommit, I fire off another one at him. which is this one right here. He continues to defend it. See, one of the best ways to defend an incoming missile is to dive straight down, which is basically what Feisty's doing. He has been forced to go cold, which is a critical mistake. Okay, this is why I say that I don't push cold in a situation like this. Okay, in a 2 versus 1 situation, I don't tend to go cold. And this is why. And this is why you want to keep throwing missiles at him, because he got forced defensive. He couldn't pick me up in time on his radar, so he had to go cold. Having gone cold, he's exposed himself to my attack, and right now I'm sitting 4 nautical miles behind him. There's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't be able to kill him in this situation. There's my AMRAAM. And by the way, guys, this is not, I've seen a couple of comments where people say this is called spam ramming. It's really not. Okay, spam ramming is when somebody fires like 3 missiles or 2 missiles, like ripple fires them a few seconds apart. That's spam ramming. This is called forcing a guy defensive and keeping him defensive. Okay, you got to do what you got to do. You have missiles, use them. Why do you want to go into the ground, into a hole, into a crater on the ground with missiles still on your wings? Right? If you have them, use them. But like, you know, use them correctly. Don't spam them every 1 second, you know? So, there it is. He actually manages to defeat that missile, which is quite impressive, actually. Because that thing's coming in at about Mach 1.1. I think he just outturns it. Let's see how he does that. Let's get those labels on. Yeah, he's just pulling high G's, and that missile just can't keep up with him. Which is fine. I give him, was that a second? No, that was an old missile. I gave him a new missile right here, and this one, there's just no beating that. I also gave him an AIM-9 just for good measure, because he was doing some stuff with this missile. I was like, maybe he knows how to kill these at a close range. So I gave him an AIM-9, hoping that he wasn't paying attention and he wouldn't flare, but the AIM-120 gets him. So that's another round, 2 more kills. Alright guys, so that's going to be the video for today. We'll do a part 2 in a few days, and a special thank you to Feisty and Thor for helping out with this video. None of this would be possible without guys like them helping me out, so big thank you to them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.